So Kathy here, welcome back. For anyone that has already been to our channel, welcome to Santa Marta Designs. And I'm getting right into the project, so welcome, welcome, welcome everyone. And if you haven't been here, welcome anyways, and we're happy you're here. Anybody that's new, new and old. If you haven't been by, or you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I'd like to go ahead and recommend that you do that. So that way you can go ahead and get our updates if you click that little notification bell icon. And you can get updates on when we're live, when we post any tutorials. So we're happy to have you all. And tonight, I'm just getting right into this project because I was running a little bit late to run onto our live program here. So tonight we're going to be doing on a 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame is what we're working with, a round frame from the Dollar Tree. So normally I used to be able to find 12 inches and used to complain that they didn't have 14s. And now I'm hoping that they bring back the 12s because now all I can find is 14s. But it's always feast or famine, right? So I'm adding my twist ties here, which are just basically pipe cleaners. And so I usually make my own wreath frames. The only time you usually see me making a wreath with a pre-made form is sometimes I purchase some wreath kits from some of my fellow crafters. And a lot of times people have been selling their kits with those pre-made or already installed, manufactured metal twist ties. So usually that's the only time you'll see me working with one of those. But so to get you started, what we have is 10 inches on the bottom, excuse me, not 10 inches, excuse me, 10 pipe cleaners on the bottom, and then we have 8 on these inner rings. So what you'll see is that we use the first outer 2 rungs to put the pipe cleaners on the outer side, and then we use the inner 2 rungs to put the pipe cleaners on the inside. So they're about a 4-inch span apart, between 3.5 to 4 inches. There's no right or wrong, so sometimes I've actually used less pipe cleaners than what we have here to go ahead and do this. So it's up to you how many you use, but that's totally fine. So if you're hopping on our live, come on in and say hello. We'd love to know who's on and say hi. But we're going to get right to it. So what we're going to be using, let me show you what all the stuff we're going to be using tonight first. I think I kind of just went right into it. So let's just find, I have a whole chair here full of Deco mesh already cut. But so our attachments tonight are these prototypes that we've been making. So the final prototype, this was our test prototype, and so is this one, but this one is going to be more of our final. And then so we can make 2 different sizes. So this is the bigger size here of our pineapple. And then this is the, what I call the baby pineapple, though it's not really baby. So the sizing on this runs just about 10.5 inches high. Sorry about that. I'm going to just quiet that ringing. So this runs about 10.5 inches high. So it is a plush attachment with a felt top. And what I always do with my attachments when I make them is I put little holes here, and they're not holes, but they're like little tabs essentially, and you can use either pipe cleaners or wire right through these, and that way you're not having to poke your holes right through your fabric, and you can easily put your attachments onto your frames. Because I've made wreaths, I make wreaths, so I know how hard it is when you get those attachments and you don't have something to poke a hole through or somewhere to attach it through, and you're stapling things on. So this was our first one, and this was a test one, so we didn't have any wire in it yet, so that's why it's a little flip-floppy, but it won't be that way in the bigger size. We changed it up so that way we added some wire, and it's very holds its life up here. So but this is a little bit bigger, this is a smaller one, and we're just going to go ahead and add the both of them tonight because I think that will look really cute. We already made a matching bow, so I'm just going over some of the materials with you. We already made a matching bow, which was done on our Facebook Live this past Monday. And hopefully we're going to start uploading our Facebook lives onto YouTube so that you can check those out in case you want to learn how to make this really cool bow. So this is a combination of just like a regular bow mixed in with a terry bow because you see some of these tails going up. So we haven't cut the tails yet because we don't know how long we need it, but this is our beautiful bow. And we already talked about our base, and then we have Deco mesh, so two 10-inch size rolls that we used, and this is a like pale yellow and then a lime green with foil in it, okay? And I'm just getting caught up in here trying to separate these two guys here. So in order to use up the whole roll, because I really don't like having a lot of extra leftover mesh, and this is more of like a value mesh, so we're gonna make it work. Don't worry about it. I cut these at anywhere between 36 to 40 inches just so that I could use up the whole roll. So we're gonna do the Woodland Ruffle with this lime green with the foil, this pale yellow that is very like standalone plain. But we're also going to learn how to use some leftovers, right? So how many of us have lots of leftover mesh? And that's why I say I don't like to have a lot of leftover. We're going to add in this bright yellow. So we're going to bring in this bright yellow color. And I got some other various greens like a mossy plain green. And then I've got this other mossy green with a little bit of jute in it. But that's okay because if you look back at our bow, it's got this tan natural color in it too, right? So we're going to make everything work. It's going to be a little bit longer of a live today because we don't have all our bundles made. Like I said, I was running a little bit late to get us all started. I only had time to cut up all our awesome Deco mesh, and we're going to move all these little guys aside. So these are available in our Etsy shop already for purchase. Only the bigger size is right now, so if you guys want a smaller size, go ahead and message me. I can go ahead and list the smaller size. But that again was, we were just testing out our prototype and I had already cut a smaller size. So let's learn how to use let's learn how to do the Woodland Ruffle. And I'm just looking for my rotary cutter. So I like to put something a little tiny bit heavier on the side there, on one side. And if you want to pre-make your bundles, it's a great idea. Oh, and you know what we didn't do tonight already was cut our ribbons. So what we can do, if you want, we can cut up our ribbons first. Like I said, there's going to be a little bit longer of a live. So we're going to have these kind of ribbons tonight, okay? And I'm thinking for my wreath, these are the ribbons from our bow. So what I'm thinking for our bow tonight, it's already done. So for our ribbon tails, what I think I would really like to do is bring out this pineapple one in every single tie, okay? So we can show you how to cut some ribbon tails really fast, okay? So you don't have to technically measure every single one of them out and cut. So if you have just a regular handy dandy ruler like this, okay, this is a 12-inch just Office Depot ruler. There are lots of crafty people that make some ribbon ruler tools. So if you have one of those, that's great. We're just going to use our ruler. So you're going to place your ruler, place your ribbon right on top of your ruler. So we're going to cut every single tail at 12 inches. So all you do is wrap this around. So that would be 2 tails right here, okay? So since I want this on every single tie, I'm going to cut 18 pieces. So I'm going to need to count 18. So I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Woo! We just made it. Look at that, guys. Wow. Right at the end. Our lucky night, right? So this might be a little thick to cut the 9 ties at once, but let's just try and cut this. So all we did was take that and cut right through where it folds on the ruler. Need a good pair of scissors for that and a little bit of elbow grease. Okay, so we've got 18 cuts of ribbon here, okay? And did I just put one going the other way and one going the wrong way? So I'm just flipping my ribbon so it's all the same way. Okay. Might be some upside down, but so then real quick what we're going to do is we're just going to cut some dovetails in here. And what that is, you fold it in half, cut it at an angle away from you, and then all you're going to do is make this really pretty V in there. Now if you wanted your ribbon straight, or if you wanted the edges at a slant, then go ahead and cut at a slant. But that's how I do it, and I just grab about 3 to 4 at a time, whatever I think my scissors and my hand can handle, and then cut away. Okay, so we're just going to speed up the process so that way we're not cutting ribbon for 5 hours here. All right, and let's just see. Hi Angie, how are you? And welcome everyone else. Don't be shy, come in and say hello. We don't bite at all. Okay, so I'm loving this pineapple. I know a lot of people have moved on to fall and Halloween and stuff, and we will be moving on to fall really soon actually. We just got our material in to make some of our scarecrow line that's in our prototype stage, and I have a really cute idea for a little girl silhouette with a sunflower dress. I think it's going to come out super cute. So stay tuned. But you'll be seeing us do a live with all our attachments coming soon, okay? Look at that, the whole roll we just finished up. So we got one whole roll to give us enough ribbon for our bow and for our ribbon tails. So this was a 25-foot ribbon roll, and usually you actually get 30 feet. You usually get about 10 yards to every roll. So now we have to decide, all right, what are we going to do? So I have this with every single tie, and then I think what I'm going to do is alternate and have this in another one and then this in the other one right next to each other, so it's not, everything looks really the same. So I'm going to cut 9 of this and 9 of this, okay, all at 12 inches, okay. So we're going to do this one really fast. So the same thing, we're going to do one, oops, I say really fast, but that's only if I had unrolled the ribbon. So 2, ooh, I'm getting stuck on all sorts of things. You know what we're going to do? Sometimes it's just easier if you throw it on the floor. There you go, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now that doesn't really work if you have any cats at home, probably, because they'll probably just take that and run with it to play with. So got to be careful if you've got animals. We don't have any animals here in our craft room, so we're good to go. So that's 9 of that one. Okay, and then we've got 9 of this one to cut. And then I like to be careful with my pins, because my fear is always coming into the craft room and stepping on a pin. That's always a no-no, right? Bad day for that. So look at this, how pretty this ribbon is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't have done that 9 and 9. I should have cut 10 and then 8, but that's all right. We'll figure it out. It's okay if one is really close to the other. So we're just going to put that there. We'll figure it out. I think in the end my math is still going to work. So these are much thinner than in fabric. So sometimes with the thinner fabric ribbon, you can actually cut more tails at the same time. We're just still going to stay with the 3, so that way we don't get really big slanted V's or anything. This one I might be actually be able to do all at the same time. So sometimes these ribbons, they look so similar on the very front compared to the back. Thankfully, this green one, this dark green one here, this one's too thick. we're going to have to break that up. This thick green one here, you can differentiate from the back because it looks a little faded. So anytime you hear someone on like a tutorial say the ugly side, I say that a lot, the ugly side of the ribbon, that's what we're talking about, is the back side of the ribbon, because what we want is the front pretty side, right? Oh, thank you, Angie. All right, so in this one, same thing here. Like if you look on the back side, it's dulled out the ribbon color. So that's how you can always tell. So one side is going to look very vibrant and pretty, and the other side is going to look a little bit faded and dull when you have a print. So it's good to just make sure you're lining them up. That way you're going to cut through all of them at the same time. Okay. And there we go. We have our tails all done. And these we're going to set aside. It's okay that we didn't use these. I always like to have different ribbon in our bow than what we have for ribbon tails. And we're just going to move all this trash aside so that way we can start with these. Oh, we're getting caught on everything on our other projects here on our desk. So let's start with maybe our yellow. And I know the yellow is a little bit hard to see, but so we're going to do some of each, okay? So what we do is put a little bit of a heavy something on that side, and then I start a roll here that I like to start kind of tight. And then I'm going to roll about 6 or so times because I have this cut really long. And then what I like to do is make sure I have a laundry clothespin handy, and you can use like a chip clip or something. I pin one side, I move this over, and then I'm going to come to the other side. And some of this mesh will want to not behave for you. So you're just going to want to make sure you roll it another 6 times here, okay? And then you're just going to scrunch it up so you can walk your fingers up, or you can do this whole pull down method. Either or is fine. So now if you can't hold everything in one hand, you can just clip it like that. And then we are going to go ahead and match 2 of our tails together. And I think we're going to do the green with the yellow, the dark green with the yellow, and then, let's see, maybe actually we're going to do the dark green with the other green because that will be a little bit better of an accent. So let's do the lime green with the yellow. And so what we would do is just fold this in half and make a little pinch. And then we're going to go ahead and shape this out so that it has an arch to it on both sides. When we put it in, we're going to grab our little bundle here from our mesh, and we're just going to pick a spot and go ahead and put that right in, okay? So, oops, my mesh bounced back at me. Okay. So now things always sometimes look a little bit uglier before they start looking pretty when you're working with your wreaths, okay? So on the bottom, I'm going to do this little bit of a V shape. And you want to just fix your ribbons to make sure that they're cooperating with you. So my curls are going up and down, so see that? And then I have this on the sides, okay? So now we're just going to keep going on to our green. So I know the yellow is a little bit see-through. So what we're going to do, actually, I need to actually start thinking about doing that. So here's about 6. And here's about 6. Rolled 6 times. Okay. And so you can kind of do this pull down method if that's more your style, or you can just walk your fingers up. I tend to kind of go back and forth between two methods depending on the style of the mesh. If it's like a jute mesh, I kind of pull it down because it's a little bit thicker. So what we have to think about, actually, I forgot to bring that in, is our leftover mesh. So we have some leftover mesh that was already cut for some curls that I didn't end up using. And so these are, I believe, already cut at 12 inches. Let's just check out our measurement so I know you guys can have the right measurement here. Actually, these are cut about 14 inches, but I would say for curls, 12 inches is fine. Sometimes even 10 inches is fine. So if you wanted to add in leftover mesh, and what we're going to do is this one little guy is cut a little bit sideways. So we're going to straighten him out. Okay. Just make sure to always close your rotary cutters, okay? Don't cut yourselves. So you're going to do the same curling method, but you're going to do it the whole way. Now, this for sure is definitely value mesh, like a basic mesh. So you're going to have to want to work with it a little bit more, okay? So now you can do a curl, okay, in this tie if you wanted to. And you could use two different colors if you wanted to. I think I'm just going to kind of sporadically do some different things throughout the wreath as far as curls or mesh accents. We'll come back in here and put some of the green, but we have some other greens to cut, and so I think on this one, let's see how many we have cut here. You just want to make sure to even it out, that's all. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have an uneven number, and I think that's okay. You guys don't always have to make sure that everything is totally, you know, matchy, equal kind of thing. So let's do this. I don't think every single tie is going to get a curl. Okay. I think what we're going to do is kind of just spread them out since we only have 11. I think I'm going to do 2 curls to a bundle. Okay, because don't forget we have our attachment we still have to put on. All right, so there's going to be a point where we have, see now, this is why I don't really like basic mesh, because even on the curl side, you kind of have to curl in, fold in the curl, or you're going to get a lot of fray. So right here on the end, before you go ahead and curl that in, I sometimes would just fold this. Okay, just fold that mesh before you curl it. That way there's less fray showing, and if you get anything on the top or the bottom, just cut that out. Okay. That is sometimes why I really just don't like the basic mesh. Nicest mesh is like something that has like a jute in it. And it's okay to take something apart and redo it. Doesn't mean you screwed up. It just means maybe you happen to notice something and it would be better to fix it now than waiting until the end to go back and say, you know what, I think I really should have done that differently. Okay, so I'm just putting this together to show you what our bundle would consist of now. So our bundle is going to have this Woodland Ruffle, 2 curls, and then we're going to do is add in this darker vibrant green here. Same thing on the tails. We're going to fold this. Okay, put in our arch, which is I just take 2 fingers and just run it over there. And now we're going to add everything together. Now if your hands can't handle this, go ahead and add to your base your Woodland Ruffle first. And then you can add separately your curls. And then still after that add your ribbon. Okay, because sometimes it's hard to grip all these things together. It's a lot, right? A lot on your hands. And so I just come in here and kind of try to fluff everything out. Okay. On this bottom row, I'm going to keep our pineapple on the top. Okay. So just like that, and then have our 1.5 inch going towards the bottom. All right, so it's just going to be a variation of colors, okay, is what we're going to get. So let's cut out some of the green, and I think we're going to start with is this solid green. Again, just another basic green that we had left over from actually a Christmas project is what we did with this one. So I'm going to cut these at about, I like usually using 12 inches. So let's see, we're at 35, so let's go down to 23 and cut some bundles here, okay? So what's really good about this is you can sometimes cut up all your mesh first, okay? And then another day, do more of your project. So see how we only had a little bit left? So that's okay. We're going to just use up what we have. So this is just basically garbage now. I'll put that part in the recycle bin later. So I've got 3 little bundles here that I could do. So this is actually even actually a little bit better basic mesh than the other one. I will say that the Hobby Lobby basic mesh doesn't always give me very good results. This is a basic mesh from craftoutlet.com, and I don't get any commissions from giving you all this information. It's just putting it out there for my crafty friends. Okay. Oh, what is this? Just making sure I can still see you guys. Okay, good. The curls are cut. Whoops. Uh-oh. Our light went out. What's going on here? I've been having some trouble with this light lately, and I think what I'm going to do is unplug my phone. And I know we're still live, so just trying to see if I can get this light back on, guys. Sorry. Never know what's going to happen live. There we go. So our curls, for the most part, I like to cut them at 12 inches long. Sorry, Angie. Some people like them 10 inches. My yellow ones were already cut at 14, so I just left them. But these here are cut at 12. And since we're using this basic mesh, I really like to do is curl in the ends a little bit because I don't like to see a ton of fray. Okay, so, and you don't have to have 2 curls in every tie or 1 curl in every tie. You can have no curls in every tie. And what you need to consider too is if you have an attachment, your attachments are going to cover up a little bit of what's underneath the attachment. So you can pick a spot on your wreath that maybe doesn't have as many curls on it, and you can put your attachment there if you want to show more curls than not. So let's put our curls over here. We're going to just move some of this stuff up from our trash bin later, put in the recycle bin. Okay, so all back onto yellow. Okay, And so again, we're going to curl about 6 times, have a clip ready, okay? We're going to go ahead and curl about 6 times again here because again, this, I wanted to use up the whole roll, so we cut our pieces about anywhere between 36 to 40 inches. We don't need a phone cord in our design here. So this one, we can go ahead and add one of these, okay? So we'll do it separate just to show you how you can do it separately if you don't have enough finger strength, okay? So we're going to pinch, curl, okay? Now let's go ahead and add these separately. So if you had to add everything separately, I'm going to go ahead and pin that. If you had to add everything separately, let's go ahead, take this bundle first, put it on here, okay? And you could always go ahead and tie this up if you needed a free hand. Just do one twist, okay? So go ahead and fix that already. If you had your curl next, okay, always put the seam side down. Try to put the seam side down. It's always going to at some point kind of pop up, but seam side down, okay, and then go ahead and add in another one twist, okay, and then take your ribbon bundle and go ahead and place that in, okay. And to tie that off, you can go ahead and maybe twist that 2 times, okay. And then I've been putting my pineapple towards the top here. And the reason we try to curl it is because, before we put it on, because that way you're not having such a hard time trying to curl it from the base of the twist tie. And so that's how you can get in all those pieces separately, okay. So let's go with our green now. Okay, so we're just going to start going a little bit faster to get through this. And you guys let me know if you have any questions as we go, because the great benefit of going live is that you can ask any questions while we're doing this instead of having to message me later and then wait for a reply. Okay. So again, the mesh is going to want to try and run away from you. And you just tell it where it needs to go. Okay. So that's that one. And I think we're going to skip a tie without a yellow bundle because, again, we don't have enough for every single bundle and every single pipe cleaner to add a curl to. Again, we're using our leftover mesh as well to accent this little guy, okay? So we're just going to add in our ribbon bundle, bring back our base. And if you're doing this on your cutting mat, sometimes it gets a little bit slippery. That base wants to just slide off the table. So just try and prop it up against something. And this is where you just kind of have to come in every single time you put in a piece of mesh and straighten things out, okay, to where you want it to go. And that's why I say it always looks ugly before it looks pretty. But you just got to stick with it. It'll work, okay? So sometimes the hardest part is separating the 2 pieces of value mesh that you cut at the same time together. Right? So just making sure I added the right ones together. Yeah, I put the green with the yellow. Because you know, when you start talking, sometimes lose your train of thought, right? Otherwise, So again, we're working with 2 colors of 10-inch mesh. And our theme tonight is pineapple. And I think what I'm going to do is cut some of this jute as well. Let's cut some of this jute and see how much. Oh, we have already pieces of this jute cut. Let's see how many. So there's about 19 inches on this. So we're going to cut this about 9 inches long and see what we can make of this. And this is why I say you can cut your pieces different sizes. Nobody's going to know. So this makes me feel like we have probably 4 pieces we're going to get out of this. And that's perfect. So see here, using up our mesh. And this guy curls perfectly because he must have been the end of the roll. So our bundles we're just going to leave already made over there. And I'd love to have extra clothespins laying around. I actually just clip them up on my light. They stay out of the way, but stay close by when I need them. Oh, we just knocked one off the table. Sorry about that. He went flying. So real tight curl is what I'm making. As tight as I can get it. And this one just kind of flopped on me. There we go. So one more. So they are already pretty curly. So these are cut at actually 9 inches. So we've got lots of different lengths we're working with tonight. These are 9. The other green was 12. I think the yellows are 14. So here, let's take a mossy green one. Okay, and add this together. So you could always do these 2 together at a time. Just going to show you tonight how to do things differently each time. It's no right or wrong. So just slap that in there. Go ahead and tight, tight, tight. I twisted twice this time. Okay, so we've got this mossy green color mixture in here now. And then with the yellow, we did this vibrant green. Nope, we did the lime green. Lime green. We did the lime green. Okay. And now I'm just going to pinch this in here with my pipe cleaner. Okay. Make a little bit of a V here. Okay. And in the end, when I can see if we have which way our tails are touching the rest of the wreath, then I can see if we need to adjust anything in the end. But right now we're just going to leave our tails like that. This little guy keeps wanting to just get used, so we're going to use him next. He's jumping out in the front of the line. And one thing I always say is when you're working with Deco mesh, don't ever use your favorite shirt. Your favorite shirt or your favorite pants. Don't use any of your favorite clothing. Because no matter how much you think it's not going to pick at your clothes, like you could have a cotton shirt on like I do, and it's still going to pick at you. Okay? So see how that's really cute, that Woodland Ruffle bundle? And we're going to use the darker green, I think I said, right? Yes. I think I grabbed the one that was jumping out in front line. Possibly not. So this time, we're not going to do, or actually we are going to do a yellow. Let's It's been a little bit since we've used the yellow. So we're just going to pin this down together so that we can grab a yellow. Okay, and you can even actually fold this down like this. You could pin it if you want, and then curl the other side. So just lots of different ways you can do things to help yourselves out in the end, instead of being frustrated. Okay, see that? We're going to grab this, turn it, we're going to start putting something in here, okay? So we're going to leave our pin in our ribbon, our clothespin. We're going to put that in, and we can tie it off once, add in our curl. I want to move this to the back side. Okay. And we're going to tie it off again. And then we're just going to go ahead and add in our ribbon. Okay. So again, really easy way. You guys hear my shirt getting picked? So it's definitely grabbing. And I just changed my shirt before we went live, thinking this would be a lot better result. Okay, so we got a few more on the bottom. We got one falling off the chair, so let's use this one next. And see how much that frays right there? We're just going to cut that part off because it's going to definitely fray a lot through our curl, and we don't need the headaches. So since our cuts were really long, it's really not going to make a difference at all if we just cut off about 3 inches. Okay. Okay. So again, just lock your hands or pull it down. And let's see, we had a curl in our last one, so I think this one will do plain. Okay. We'll leave it plain Jane, but not so plain that it still gets ribbon. Oops, we didn't even curl this one yet. Let's go ahead and do that. Just a little bit at least. Okay. That one a tight squeeze. And I'm always bringing my curls downward and upward, and then making sure that these ruffles kind of match up on the sides. Okay. And then just give my ribbon a little bit of an adjustment so that it looks pretty. And we move on to the green. Oh, we lost some buttons over there on the end of the table. So how many of you like to make your own attachments? Does anybody like to make their own attachments? I love it. It's very relaxing. Just going to cut off a piece of that mesh. That was a little wonky. This mesh is picking at everything tonight. Got things flying all over the place. fine or not, as long as we get it done and it looks beautiful, then we've met our objective. So this one, I would say we are going to put another yellow bundle, because what we'll have is 3. We have 1, 2, and then we'll have 3, okay? So let's grab a yellow bundle or a yellow cut here. So remember what I did? I did a fold here, because I really did like that before, because it just already gave me something to work with that was folded when I came over. This mesh I was not happy working with, and I think that's why when I had all these pieces cut, I said, oh goodness, no more working with that mesh, and I think I gave up on it. So if you can, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but there's a lot of strays, frays, areas for improvement, right guys? So these are the guys that wanted to keep jumping the line. So we are going to be getting ready for fall designs. Some of the stuff that we have in store to come out are, like I said, our sunflower girl. That is going to be super cute. I hope it's going to be super cute. And we have a scarecrow guy, that boy that we're going to do. Call him a boy, not a guy. We are actually going to be trying to make another scarecrow, but different kind of face. And we'll let the cat out of the bag on that one once we actually have the prototype done. So he's going to have a little bit different than typical kind of face. Okay. So this one, we're going to do the curl and the ribbon together. Okay. It will even pick on itself, this mesh. Okay. And 2 more on the bottom, guys. 2 more on the bottom. So I did tell you, you guys are going to be on for a little bit longer tonight. You got to go and catch the replay. That's okay. Come on back another day and finish it up. But usually we have our bundles done already. Tonight was a little bit later night. But you get to see the whole entire process from start to finish. And this one, I think we're going to come in here with a mossy bundle. So we're going to come in here with a mossy bundle. Stick those 2 together. And we've got lime green. Ribbon tails are cut at 12 inches along every single one of them. Okay, every single one of them has been cut at 12 inches. So let's add these 2. See how there's just so many different shades of yellow and green in here? And you don't need to be exact. Like I said from the beginning, that we don't have to have the same number of curls in every single tie. You can actually just alternate and make things work. Okay. being a little bit stubborn. All right, we got one left over there. And curl about 6 times. Okay. Bring it over to the other side. Curl this one about 6 times. Okay. And then this middle part, you're just going to keep bringing down. Don't let anything get in the way. Okay. This is our last one on the bottom. And this one's not going to have any bundles of curls in it. So this one here, where you have the beginning meets the end, you gotta kind of squeeze in there without trying to lose your bundle. And then either ruffle side should be up against each other here. Curls should still be facing up like they have been, facing up and down. You could technically put your curls the other way. You could put them sideways. And here, we just want to go in and fix our ribbon. It's so pretty, we don't want it hiding, right? You want to proudly display that ribbon. So now what we have is the inner part to do. I'm getting stuck on some of our already made projects on the other side of our table. So let's start with our infamous yellow, our pale yellow. Pale yellow. We're going to start moving this upwards that way. Okay. So these are going to go a little bit faster because we only have 8 ties. So go ahead and fill. And like I said, if you don't want to put 18 ties in, you don't have to. I've done some projects where I've cut out 2 ties on both the bottom and the top rungs. So that meant there was only 8 ties on the bottom and then 6 ties on the top. And it still came out perfectly fine, perfectly fine. So you wouldn't probably even know the difference of what we did. So to each their own, you can certainly modify what you do. And I'm just looking to see, what do we want to do with our green? So I think we're going to do a solid green here. I think we're going to do the solid green with this yellow bundle. And I think what we're going to do is start right over here. Oh, one of our ties moved. Go back. It really won't move after you have everything in place, because they're going to be so squished up against each other, they're not going to have room for movement, really. So that's the good part. I know some people wonder, oh, should I put some glue on my pipe cleaners when I'm putting them on my base? I don't put any glue on my metal, between my metal and my pipe cleaners at all. First of all, when you put glue on metal, it has a really easy time of peeling off, okay? So I don't recommend it. I don't do it. But to each their own. Do what you want. I think since you have all your mesh in the end really close together, it's going to have a really hard time to fidget anywhere and slide. I know, right? Angie says fray makes me angry. I don't like fray either at all. But you know what? Sometimes the colors that you want only come in that darn basic mesh. And it's like, tisk, tisk, tisk. It's not the color I wanted. So let's see, green. We're doing dark green. I should know this by now, but I always screw up somehow, so I'm just making sure. Wire was popping out of here. Never seen that happen. Oh, I think it's because it's coming undone. Let's see it coming undone. I'm just going to cut that out before we end up poking somebody by accident. Okay. So let's see. With this green, I don't think we're going to do any yellow. I think we're going to leave it as is because we already have a yellow right here. Okay. So we're going to go with just our Woodland Ruffle bundle and our ribbon. When you get to the inside, that's where you're going to have to work your mesh a little bit more and your ribbons. Okay. So the inside you can change up and actually put these going different directions, like crisscross, whatever your heart desires. Pale yellow time. Okay. I think doing the base of the wreath is the part I least enjoy. I most enjoy is doing the bows, and not that I like attaching the sign, but mainly putting the sign on in the sense of seeing everything come together. You know, just putting all this, I feel like this is what I call just filler. Even though it does really make the wreath beautiful, depending on what colors you use, you know, what method you might choose. So it is still important, but it's my least favorite. My least favorite part because it's just very monotonous. Do the same thing over and over. In this sense, we've been changing it up a little bit by deciding what we want where. Okay, so we have, with our yellow, we've been doing this mossy green and this other solid green, like one more of these solid greens. So I think what we're going to do is put in a mossy green with this one, so that way we'll have two bundles left that we hopefully use up and don't have any left over on that. Okay, so let's put this one in. So we have one each of these, and we do have plenty of yellow still left, but I don't know if I'm going to put any more yellow in. I haven't made that decision yet. And that's totally okay. I sometimes go into a project and just have an idea in my head, and then as we go is when I decide other aspects of the wreath. Doesn't make you wrong. Sometimes it's more helpful to do that because you don't get so upset if something didn't work that you had planned in your mind, right? Sometimes we have all planned out, okay, I'm going to use this and this and this, and then when you get it together, it's like, oh, that doesn't look so great, right? Okay, it's looking pretty full. If I had time to have cleaned off my desk a little bit, we would have had a little bit more room, but we're in between about 5 projects. We're a little tight for space tonight. As you can see, everything flying around. It's like the hot mess show. That's all right. We're just getting her done. Sometimes your curl wants to fly off the rocker there. You see those pretty, how pretty that looks? Okay. Pineapple doesn't want to come along and play nicely. All right, should we put any more yellow in here? Should we put any more yellow in here? I don't think I'm going to because we already have enough yellow with our attachments, and I just wanted that bright pop of yellow to just bring it out a little bit. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. And hopefully it will still look great. I lost our twist tie here. There it is. How many of you have to stand up when you're crafting versus sitting down and relaxing? I've got to stand up. Too short. Too short to try and do any of this on my table without having my arms feel like 20 pounds heavy by the end. Too short. Okay. So we're going to use a couple more bundles. I think I counted too many. Did I cut too many? I think I did. I think I did. A little too much extra freight here. Here we go. Just cut that right off. Sometimes one little fray doesn't bother me because you can cut that off with your scissors in the end, but when you have like a whole strip just coming off, sometimes I just find it better to hedge the bit, cutting that off right away versus having to cut it off later. So our last bundle we used this one. Let's use this one this time, our other solid green. Oh, our bundle is coming apart here. Stick that right in there. Okay, let's clip these two together. Perfect. And then get our ribbon ready. Oh, look how bad that little V came out. That's why I say sometimes you got to make sure you're not grabbing too many layers at once, or your little V is going to look like it's competing on one side to the other on whose longer or shorter. Okay, so we're going to try and add all this together at the same time. Okay, so we're going to come in here. And the nice thing about when you're working with the jute mesh versus this value mesh is that I find when you're sliding them up against each other, they do just that. They slide right up against each other. They're not getting picked and stuck. It's like I'm finding a lot of frays with this yellow, and I think that's why I'm nixing using any more of it as well. Because it's a little bit of a problem, I feel like. Let me cut this as well. There we go. See how nicely that's coming along? Okay. Let's grab our next piece. I think we're going to have to go from underneath to count how many ties we have left, because I think I cut too many pieces. I didn't think I was that tired to do the right math, but it happens. It happens. Alright, so on this one, let's see how many pieces we have left. Oh goodness, we've yarn, string that's coming on here. Let me clean everything up. So we have how many bundles left to do? We have 1, 2, 3 bundles left. So I would say on this one, I am going to go ahead and put this curl in. Okay. Let's wrap up using this leftover mesh. I think if I'm going to end up using at least 2 rolls of the green left over, I'm going to be really happy. If we still have some left over of the yellow, is what it is. It's fine. Now, how did I end up with, did I skip one? Oh, we're on yellow. Or should we be on green? We should be on green. Hold that yellow right there. We should be on green. No wonder I had 2 of the same left over. And technically, I think if I even did 2 yellows right side by side, no one is probably even going to notice. Right? Great way to use up leftover mesh. If you have any accents you want to add to anything, and again, you don't need to have a curl in every single tie. It's okay. So I have some mesh just peeking out over here. So it's going to go bye-bye. Okay. Don't need to have something in every single tie. We may very well have needed a patience pill the way this is picking tonight at everything. Look at this. Our bundle just came apart. If that happens, just squeeze that right back in there. And tell them who's boss. Okay? Okay. So this green, oh my goodness. Okay, guys. Sometimes this is going to happen It just doesn't want to cooperate with you. So take that off. Find the spot that's okay. Come back in here and see what's going on, because this one just didn't completely want it to unravel. It definitely was user error. Like I didn't pinch it well enough. See that? Now it's gonna stay. Goodness. Me oh my. Okay. So we're on green. We've got one more yellow, one more green left, and our yellow is technically already done. That's the cool part. Okay, let's fluff this up nicely. Okay. Alright, so you're going to have to keep fixing your ribbons, because as you come in here you might squish another one by accident. So this one we need our last lime green. And I'm going to take a risk here and try and get this all in at the same time. So it's a real good handful, okay? And let's get our second to last tie over a little bit more, because it's far too much over. There we go. And before you put your mesh down, just make sure your tie is open to give yourself a little bit better spot to be able to drop that in there. See here how my ribbon always just wants to play hide and seek. Hide and seek is what it does. Okay. Look at, guys, our last little bundle we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and pinch our ribbon right away. Okay. Get this little guy out of the way. And we don't have much left, because what we have left, I didn't count wrong. Yay! I was cutting mesh fast, so I didn't realize if I had cut 9 of each piece or not. But we did do it right. Don't you guys just love when a plan works together with what you had in mind? Alright, so just going to go ahead and scrunch this up for our ruffle. This is our last one, guys. So see how we only have a little bit of yellow, bright yellow peeking out. I love it. I love it. Because I don't think I could have taken any more of that really bad fraying. Alright, let's find our last little spot in here hiding. It's hiding us. This is always the worst one to put in because you're squishing it in here between everything already done. Okay, whew. Goodness. Everything's just picking and grabbing. Okay. All right. Perfect. So our base is done, guys. Our base is done. Let's move some of these things out of the way. Our projects are just flying off the handle attached on the bottom here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and figure out the placement of our little pineapples. We're going to go with a little pineapple family. Let's call it a Mr. and Mrs. Pineapple. And then we have the lovely pineapple bow. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is, if I can get to the bottom here, put our bow going this way where our tails are kind of just hanging off really beautifully. Okay. So this is where our bow is going to go, and then our little pineapple guys are going to go right here. So I think what we're going to do is put our pineapple guys on first. All right, just because if I have to flip it over, I don't want to smash my bow, as it's a little fluffed already, though it could still use more fluffing. All right, so I'm going to use my silver wire. And let's see, I thought I had our wire cutters out, but we don't. Okay. So maybe about 1.5 feet of wire on each side to almost 2 feet. We're going to cut 4 pieces. Okay, so remember guys, I put in these little wire tabs here for you. So if you need to find these are in our shop. And this little guy is on the wrong side. That's the right side. I can tell only because he was our prototype and I have a little bit of a boo-boo with some string on the back that I don't think you guys would notice to the naked eye, but I can notice it because I made it. So let's put our wire on, okay? So all we're going to do is sneak this right in, and look how fast this is going to be once I grab my wire the right way. And voila! So no fidgeting with trying to add a wire through fabric, right? Because trust me, I've been there, done it, and that's no fun. Sometimes your fabric then rips, and I usually end up putting some glue when I have to rip through fabric, because then I want to make sure if it's gotten tugged or pulled on with maybe the wind or anything that it doesn't rip any further. So these are available in our Etsy shop, and we're going to be making this a bigger size, and it will still hold its form because we've modified the prototype. Let me just make sure what side we're working on. This is the right side. I can just tell from my boo-boos in the prototypes. So we put the boo-boos to the back because no one's going to see those. Thank you, Angie. Angie said, gorgeous bow. And one last little tab to put things through here. This is our last one. Okay. You could totally use pipe cleaners. I should have probably just used pipe cleaners because these aren't heavy at all. Alright, so I think I said I want this one here and then this one kind of like to the side a little bit, so that's good placement. Alright, so we're going to swing this right through. Where is my wire cutters? Here they are. I like to try and even out my wire edges because I find it just pokes through the mesh a lot faster. I have them the same size. Alright, sorry, let's fix that again. I'm going to have one going a little bit sideways, the other one going a little bit sideways there. Now we're knocking everything over, guys. Knocking everything over tonight. Alright, so we're just going to poke through our mesh. Sometimes you can actually just even get right in between the spaces, between the two colors of mesh, and not even have to poke through anything. But sometimes you have to poke through. And ooh, and sometimes you poke yourself poking through. There we go. Oh, we got one side in and the other side fell out. Isn't that funny? One side in and one side fell out. Okay, so once I get these in the back, I can kind of flip it over and show you what we're going to do. Let me just make sure I have them grabbed both sides. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and just show you guys. So I like to make sure I'm on the inside of the rungs. I don't like to have the wire on the outside. So I like to have it on the inside. So this piece here, one side, I like to do is make sure I'm wrapping around a couple of the rungs. So I usually like to wrap around 2 of them. And if you can grab a crossbar area, that's even better. You don't want to squish it down so that it looks like you're giving the pineapple some fishy lips look. But you want to kind of firmly press so that way you know it's not going to be a little floppy and flopping around everywhere. Okay, so I just kind of like to give it a firm little tug. It's not a really heavy tug, so I'm going to flip it around again for you. So see how that's really snug in there? Okay, and it's not really puckering anywhere. And what we'll have to just go back in and fix where our ribbon tails are curved to. Okay, because obviously when we put them on, we didn't know which direction things were going to go in, but now that we see things kind of coming out, we can point them in a different direction, okay? So what I'll do with this wire is I'm going to wrap it around a portion of the bar frame here several times. And then once I have it wrapped several times, which we're not going to do the whole thing on camera, we usually finish this part off camera in the end. But once I have it wrapped several times, and you see me working in between this rung and the second and the third rungs here, then I just take my needle nose pliers and I make sure that there's no sharp ends kind of pointing out. If it's really, I've wrapped it around a couple times, it's still a lot of wire, I just cut that end off, take my needle nose pliers, make sure there's no rough or pointy edges. Like right now I can see that, I can feel with my fingertips that there's a pointy edge. So all I'll do is take this and just start turning it until I can make sure that I'm going to clamp down that pointy edge of that wire so that it's not poking at anybody, okay? Not poking at anybody when they put their fingers on it, or not poking at a wall or a door. So now I can run my finger over it and feel comfortable that no one's going to get really stabbed. I say that, but I still felt a really pointy edge. And you're just going to do a couple more little twists and that will take care of it. Okay. And by using your needle nose pliers, you're putting a lot of pressure on the wire to close that gap up without cutting up your fingers, okay? So that's what we'll do for the rest of that wire. So I just gave you an example. And then we're going to add this little guy here. So cute. So see how you can't even see those tabs? That's what I love about it. Can't even see the tabs. But secure enough that it's not going to fall off. And like I said, you could totally use some pipe cleaners if you wanted instead of wire. And this is just floral wire. You can get it at Walmart. Dollar Tree even has floral wire. Sometimes my Dollar Tree doesn't always have it. So I like to grab it at either Michael's or somewhere when I'm there. Like I said, my Dollar Tree sometimes doesn't have it. Okay. So one more little poke for this guy. And like I said, our prototype now, the green part of the pineapple won't be flopping around because we added wire. And that's what I like to do when we do our prototypes. I like to test things out. So that way I know what it will look like in the end or how it will work on people's projects. Because if we kept it floppy, there was no guarantee that it wouldn't just be flopping on top of the project after it was already attached. Okay. So we're going to just give it some good twists so that I know it's not going to fall off. And like I said, we'll finish off wrapping up this wire post live. But all we have left is to add our bow, which is already done. And we will then have our awesome pineapple wreath for the summer. Great little summer edition. Okay. And this one I think I put a little too snug, so I'm just pulling back out the wire because I think you just see how it's puckering there. Just went ahead and added it a little bit too tight, so we'll loosen that up in a little bit. So this is facing you. Okay, we're gonna have to fix the wire on this guy underneath. He's just a little too tight there. So now this guy, we added floral wire to the back, so that's how we're gonna attach him. We have our floral wire here. We actually used this thicker green floral wire. And what did we say? We're going to add them basically right about here. Right? So that way we can have our tails, beautiful tails running down. Okay. So see how it really doesn't matter that we added a curl to just like intermittent bundles. Since you're going to have your bow on top of certain bundles, you could technically wait till the very end to add your ribbon tails to certain bundles or certain ties. So that way if you don't want to waste ribbon, or not that it would be wasteful, but you want to save some of your ribbon to maybe do another project, you can always do that. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Okay. So we're going to push our bow up just a little bit more. And we're going to tie it around a crossbar that is a little bit further up more so that it doesn't sag down. Now when you put your bow on, if I pull really tight, this is what's going to happen. See that squished look? You don't want that squished look. You want this fluffy, sitting right on top of the wreath look. Okay? Like it's just resting. It's not having a heart attack. It's just resting. There's no emergency services needed. This is just resting right on top. Okay? And I'm just finding the sweet spot to go ahead and tie this around. All right. So I'm just giving it a few good twists. And again, we'll wrap that wire, the rest of that wire, after the live is done. I'm gonna loosen this little side up a little bit. That's just bothering me here. Yep, so it's this side. We're going to try not to squash our bow too much. And I had twisted this one about several times. So we're just going to undo that one. And we're going to pull it back out a little bit. There we go. Just had tightened it a little bit too much. There. Well, that's better. It's not curving in there so much. All right, so let's just cut off our tails the way we want to leave our length or not. I think we're going to leave our length in all of this. I really do like the length, so all we're going to do is finish up by cutting out some dovetails here. Making sure our ribbons all go in the right way. And we are going to curl some of these ends. Okay. And in the bow, I don't know if you noticed, I actually have two different sides of the same ribbon. Snuck that in there. You don't usually see that. Once people use a certain ribbon set, they don't use the same one over again. So what we did was we snuck the 2.5 inch pineapple in the very back, and then we snuck it back up again in the front in the 1.5 version. So, a little bit sneaky, right, in what we did. So here we're just curling some of the ends, which you don't have to. And if you just wanted to fluff it up and do that, you could. Okay. I'm just separating out these two sides of tails. And then one thing I forgot to mention, so we won't be done with this wreath quite yet after the live. What we're going to do as far as finish up work behind the scenes is we're going to go in and curl all these pipe cleaners that you see. Actually, this one I'm going to leave straight and just fluff it. Okay. And this is a great way to add some extra dimension to your projects by having all these different sized tails kind of just hanging out. Okay. You don't have to curl them. You can leave them straight. Or you can curl them just like this. Okay. So this side we don't need to cut a very lot because we have it very short, because we knew it was going to be towards the top of the wreath. But I am still going to leave this one a little bit longer, along with this one. Ooh, we lost that in here. So this one I'm just going to fluff out. fluff this one out first. And then I'm just going to curl the end a little bit. Okay. All right, I think that is going to do it for us. Oh, so let me show you what I'm going to do with these little curly guys. So I take my paintbrush, I take a pencil, paintbrush, I take my paintbrush in because it's just skinnier, and I wrap this around. I don't cut them. I just leave them little curly cues. You could cut them if you want. I just find it sometimes takes a little bit more time, sometimes, to go in and curl, not curl everything, but cut everything. Because then I find like I'm leaving really sharp pointy edges. And here you just curl them and it makes like just a cute little curly cue design. And the reason why I did the bright yellow was to just give it a little bit of an accent, and not looking for that hide my ties look. Just looking for leave them open with a curl look to the whole design. So it's just adding a little bit of a curl to each little tie that you have. And then you can also go in and just make sure you cut any kind of phrase, especially if you're working with basic value mesh like we did tonight. So this is really inexpensive, especially if you go ahead and grab some leftover fabric to make an attachment. Or you can, spend a little extra money on getting some really nice fabric if you don't have it in-house to match and make your wreath attachment. Or if you don't want to make one, you can stop by our shop, our Etsy shop, and buy your own pineapple already made, and you just have to attach it. So you have several options. All right, so that's going to be it for us tonight, guys. What do you think? Does that look good? Any questions? I'm going to wait a second, just make sure there's no questions. Everyone got to see everything that they needed to. All right, not seeing any questions. Sounds like hopefully I've explained everything really well to you. If there's anything that you need a little more explanation on, you can always send me a private message or comment on the video. So that's going to be it for me, guys, tonight. Kathy here from Santa Marta Designs. I would love for you to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we try to grow our business over on the YouTube side of things. Keep you social, keep you active, keep you crafting in various ways. We're going to be expanding our tutorials to some other attachment items in the future. We're trying to build that lesson plan. But in the interim, we'll be coming back to you with one project a week. And so this is the completion of our pineapple project. And next week will either be the completion of our beach project or our Teachers Our Blessings project, if I can get our Cricut design space working again. I haven't gone back in there. But anyways, give our go ahead and give our video tonight a like if you loved what happened, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Either way, we will be back on Monday night on Facebook with our tutorial, part 1 of our tutorial, and then finishing up with part 2 on Thursday next week. So catch you back next Thursday at 9 p.m. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.